Hi, this is Alice Bull from scrapbookwonderland.com and the ScrapHappy membership group. I'm here at Creativation 2018 with Seth Apter and Emerald Creek. I have Kim Evans here as well. Hi, Kim. And hi, Seth. So,
Hey, thanks for inviting me on camera.
thank you so much for being here. I love what you're doing. I love the dies you make, and you're just super creative and crafty. Can you tell us and maybe show us a little bit of what you're showing off today with the Emerald Creek products?
Sure. Well, with Emerald Creek, I've created a line of 7 embossing powders. We call them baked texture. They're embossing powders for artists, and they're a little different than your typical embossing powders. Some of them are chunky, some of them are smooth, some of them are shiny, some of them are rough. Some of them are translucent, some of them are opaque. So there's a lot you can do with all of them.
Well, and it's amazing that they can create all of those different textures in embossing powder.
The
I know, she's the chemist. That's why she's there in her lab suit.
They're incredible. If you even just take a look at some of the test tubes, I can lay a few out. You can just see the variety. And that one is the one we're going to use today. Just the variety. They're all mixed with many colors. They all look really interesting and different. Some of them are soft, some of them are rough. So I've been stenciling, so I'm going to keep stenciling, if that's okay.
That's wonderful.
Okay, so I already have a background that's been painted and stamped and inked. And I chose a stencil, and I'm going to use the stencil with the embossing powder. So I'm going to have Kim, thank you, hold that. I'm just going to get...
Thank you, Vanna.
Vanna. Uh-oh, I might start calling her that now. No? Okay. I'm going to just get any embossing pad, and I'm going to use a craft sponge. I'm going to place my stencil somewhere, wherever I want the design. And one of the things I'm going to think about is I'm not going to place it right in the center. It's just too obvious. So I'm going to move it over to the side, and I'm going to just go back and forth between pouncing the embossing glue through the stencil and getting more on the sponge. I really want a pretty good coverage. If for some reason, because the embossing pad glue is sticky, it pulls your stencil up, just always hold the corner edge so you don't miss it. Because the truth is that once you lift it up, you can't see what you've done. So you can't replace your stencil. Then I'm going to get the embossing powder, and I'm going to place, I've done this without, so I know I don't want to do that again. I'm going to place a loose sheet of paper under. We're using Deep Sea. It's kind of translucent blues and greens. And I'm just going to pour it on. Actually, if you catch the light the right way, you actually can see the image.
Just a faint bit, yeah.
Very faint. There it is. It stays tacky. So that when you pour the embossing powder on, like magic, shift it around, you see the image appear. It's kind of like the old invisible ink from back in the day.
Oh, I love that.
Yes, of course. You want to play with it. So I'm going to have Kim hold this, but not pour it back in yet.
Okay.
Because we're going to have a twist. My motto is if you do it once, you have to do it twice.
Okay.
So I am absolutely going to just do a little bit more off the edge.
Okay.
I love going off the edge. Not literally, but in terms of art and craft. And then in art, 3 is a really important number. So I'm going to do it 3 times. And I'm going to go a different section, and I'm going to do it a 3rd time. All right, and then I'm going to pray I remember where I did it. And I'm going to just take this back, and I'm going to just pour it out. And again, as if by magic, the images should appear. And there they are. So it's kind of cool as it is, and you can choose to leave it and not heat it, which is what you do with embossing, but if you do that a lot of times, if you haven't sealed it, it will run off. I'm going to give that to Kim, and I'm going to take the heat gun. You need a heat gun, not a blow dryer. It needs to be concentrated heat, and you're just going to heat the emboss, and it will melt. And you can see it's already melting.
Embossing is like magic. The first time I saw it, it was like, oh, look at that.
You know what?
And I still feel that way every time.
The 1000th time I've seen it. Say that 3 times fast. It is magic. All right, and with these powders, there's kind of I call it a double melt. You can melt it a little bit, like this. And it's
And
going to
kind
be,
of get that rough, crackly
yes,
texture.
the rough texture, and it's not a full melt, and it's not going to go anywhere once it dries. I prefer to then go back in and then really melt it fully, and you get the really deep, rich color tones. And for me, that is not always, but often a preference. So you could do it a little bit and be done, or you can go in and really do it a lot. Embossing is so easy, it's so much fun. A lot of times I'll go in and make my own mixes, so I'll use two. I'll pour two within the same stencil image. It's just fun, and this one, again, is sort of a beautiful, deep, rich color. It's a little blue, it's a little green, and it has the sheen, kind of like you'd see on the surface of the sea. Yeah.
The deep sea?
The deep sea. Oh, good one. All right. High five for that. Okay.
No, this is wonderful.
Thank
So
you.
said you have 7 different embossing powders that you've
Correct.
created with Emerald Creek?
Yes. So I have 7, and they really are different. I have a chunky rust, which is a beautiful rust, mottled rust that gives a really good metallic texture. I have the deep sea. I have vintage beeswax, which has become one of my favorites. It's like a melted honey beeswax that gives you a faux and caustic look. You can do a lot to make things distressed, embed objects in it, things like that. I have ancient amber, which is kind of like an amber honey with little flecks built into it, almost like fossils.
Cool.
I am going then to dirty sand. Dirty sand is like sandpaper. We've created this like really mottled beach-like sand that when it dries it's rough and it has the texture really pretty much of sandpaper. I have Patina Oxide, which I have to say is one of my favorites. It's this gorgeous green patina with copper and other highlights in it. It's hard to see if you're far away, but it's quite beautiful. And I think I'm missing one of my Rocky Road.
Oh.
Rocky Road, okay. Rocky Road is blacks and taupes. It's chunky, it's a little gritty, has a little bit of sheen. It's just really gorgeous, rich, almost like you think of a freshly tarred road, but like elevated to the craft world.
Nice.
Yeah, and I believe those are the 7.
Those are the 7.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm so where will people find these? Where can you find them, and how soon can people find them?
Well, Emerald Creek is a Canadian company, but they're international in terms of distribution. So you can certainly go to the Emerald Creek site, which is, if you're in the United States,
emeraldcreek.co, and in Canada, emeraldcreek.ca.
you can go direct to my website, SethApter.com. So if you know my name or remember my name or read my name, I have a store and they're all sold. But they're sold now. They're beginning to ship, and they're being sold in Belgium, in Australia, in Denmark,
In
the UK, and all of the United States, and in Canada.
And there's a bunch of stores that are carrying them as well, right?
Yes, lots of stores. You can go online. We have a retailers page, so you can find, based on US, Canada, or international, who might be closest to you for your own convenience and ease of shopping.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Seth, and thank you so much, Kim, for having a look and sharing the cool embossing powders that you have here. And now we're going to take a little peek at some of the other cool embellishments and stuff that Emerald Creek also has.